gentlemen, welcome to Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. If you're listening to this in the morning, good morning. But we are live here on a wonderful Sunday evening. Big win here tonight against the Yankees. In my opinion, I said this for the post-game show yesterday. It wasn't, a must win, but it felt like it had that a little bit, right? You dropped 3 straight. You're getting into the nitty-gritty here. Last couple of weeks of the season, all these teams getting hot in the wild card race. The Mariners, the Rangers, even the Guardians are right there. The Royals, a few teams here getting into the mix. And, the Yankees pulling ahead for that first wild card. You needed a win here tonight. You've handled the Yankees all year. Tip of the cap. They take the first 2. They play some great baseball, good pitching, timely hitting for them over the first 2 games. But you needed this one here tonight, in my opinion. No, not a must-win by any means, but you just wanted to end the weekend on a good note, going into a weird off day on a Monday. I don't know. Mondays being off just feels odd to me, but hey, whatever. But good momentum. Going into the off day tomorrow, you got exactly what you needed to hear from Garrett Crochet tonight. The guy was absolutely nasty here tonight. 12 strikeouts over 6 innings. A ton of swing and miss from Garrett Crochet. He took a couple of licks here tonight. The Yankees, give them some credit here. This series, this Yankees team, they made you think of those old Yankee teams where they were just a pain in the butt all the time. Even when you were up, you never felt like you were fully comfortable. That's how the Yankees felt here tonight. Luckily, you got that real hot start here tonight. That's what the Red Sox, yes, you needed this win, in my opinion. Absolutely, I felt like you needed that. But the hot start tonight was the key. And we talked about this for the postgame show yesterday. I said, you got to come into this one, just get off to that hot start, right? And just don't try to do too much. Just make good, solid contact. Even Alex Bregman talked about this. They were talking about this pregame on ESPN. Bregman saying, hey, stop trying to play hero. Just go out there and play some good baseball. Make quality contact. And that's what exactly the Red Sox did, and that's what I talked about last night. It just felt like, this is a team that's pressing as of late. And I keep bringing up Roman Anthony every single stream. Yeah, it stinks, and they did talk about him during the game here tonight, saying that he's walking on a treadmill. He's still not feeling good at all, so that's not a good sign. But this is what you have here, and this team showed you here tonight they can get off to a good start, and they jumped all over Will Warren here tonight. Good performance for the offense in the early going. I'll be honest with you, though, I would have liked to have seen a bit more as the game went on. That's where, to me, you felt the Yankees just clawing away, inning by inning, just run by run. I'm not going to lie, I was feeling a little uncomfortable there. The Yankees pulled within 2 runs, and luckily you got the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball when it comes to the bullpen. Garrett, Whitlock, Chapman, these guys are absolute nails, absolutely nasty. Holy cow, Garrett Whitlock, that guy's got ice in his veins. Judge got started off of him in the beginning of that 8th inning, and he just went to town, getting 3 strikeouts. Chapman, he's had his issues here over the last couple of games, giving up 4 hits, 2 runs over his last 2 appearances, and he looked good here tonight. He looked fresh. Good to see. Good to see for Chapman here. Good win. Good win tonight. You needed this, in my opinion. So, a lot of people here in the chat, a lot of familiar faces. Everybody, we have been... I feel like this, I'm not sure if there's some kind of an algorithm thing going on, but my guess is because football's back, football's dominating here in the sports world. So my guess is people are not quite tuning back into the baseballs as of late. But the way to help that, just hit the like button for us. If you are new, think about subscribing. We are trying to get to 5K by the end of the season. We're getting closer and closer. I'm going to keep saying it every single stream until we hit 5K. So, but definitely help us out if you can. Help us out with this algorithm as of late. Yeah, Christopher Sanchez in the chat. Didn't get the alert yesterday or today. I'm telling you, I think there is something going on algorithm-wise. I've talked with some other YouTube friends, and that's just something that seems to be going on. Views are down in the baseball world right now, and my guess is YouTube, they like to push certain things, and with football back on the minds of many, hey, my fantasy football team won today. I'm feeling pretty good. Red Sox win. Fantasy football doing pretty good. I'm going to be honest. I did not start Drake May here today. I got Patrick Mahomes as my starter, and after Drake May's performance here today, oh man, I don't know. I might be thinking about maybe going with May moving forward. I'm not sure. Good win for the Patriots here today. Who saw Mike Vrabel running down? There was a picture, an absolute amazing picture of the Patriots going in for the score. I believe it was a score, or I'm not sure exactly, but there was a picture of Vrabel on the sidelines just running down the sideline. Fantastic picture. Listen, I love Bill Belichick, but I never saw Bill Belichick doing that. Vrabel's awesome. Good win for the Patriots here today. Good win for the Red Sox today. Just a good day for Boston here today. Good day. Good way to start off your week tomorrow. If you're going to work tomorrow morning, whatever you're doing, going to school, you can wake up feeling pretty good tomorrow. Good start to the week. Joe Mama in the chat. Vrabel, awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I love that picture. That's like one of my favorite pictures I think I've seen. But let's get to it here. I'm rambling. Let's get to it. Before I do, though, once again, just hit that like button for me. Let's get to the offense here. Let's get to the hot start with the bats, right? What better way to start things off? These bats were red hot to start things off. I mean, you got 5 hits to start off the game, for crying out loud. Will Warden couldn't get it out to save his life. First inning, Duran, triple off the monster. Stanton couldn't really handle it all that well. That was hilarious to me because, I see Duran, hits this high fly ball, scrapes off the monster, Stanton having trouble with it. And as soon as they pan back to third base, Duran's already there. I'm like, holy cow. We all know how fast Duran is. We do. But it's just so funny. Like, as soon as they went to third base with the camera, there's Duran just sliding in. It's like insane. And that was a ball to left field. Insane. Bregman with the base hit up the middle, made it 1-0. Story low with base hits to load the bases. Romy extending his hit streak with a double. How about Romy Gonzalez here tonight? Romy Gonzalez here. Good night at the plate. Good defense from Romy here tonight. He made a couple of really nice plays here tonight. Shout out Romy. We talked about Romy defensively at second base. And he was having some issues there in the early going of the year, right? We're talking, okay, he needs to stay at first base. Well, obviously you got Nate Lowe now. Romy looking great defensively. Kept it going, though. They made it 3-0. Massa with the sac fly. Ref Snyder with the ground out. Made it 5-0. Then Carlos Narvaez with the exclamation point in the first inning. 6-0. You're thinking, all right, the Red Sox ever going to stop scoring at this point? Great first inning. But unfortunately, the offense stopped there. The offense just, they went cold turkey after that. They said, all right, we got all the runs we need here tonight. But listen, I'm not a big fan of that. Yes, I love the hot start, but I like consistency, because you saw the Yankees just clawing back in this one. It would have been nice to maybe just get one more at some point. They had opportunities. From the second to the sixth inning, they went 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Second inning, Romy with the fly out. You had Lowe on second base, so that stranded him. Third, fourth inning, 6 straight retired. Fifth inning, got a couple of base hits from Romy and Massa, but then Ref Snyder Narvaez not able to come through. Sixth inning, Seti Bregman with the strikeouts. Duran had a ground out there, got beat out by Goldschmidt. And after that, there's nothing else. But you can thank Garrett Crochet here for this performance here tonight. Again, he gave up a couple of licks here tonight. Got himself into a couple of spots, despite the nastiness. Now, with Garrett Crochet, overall, through the first 3 innings, had 7 strikeouts. That's nasty. Only giving up a double to Ben Rice. Fourth inning, you started to see the Yankees start to chip away here. And this was, he was getting into right around the third time through the order. Stanton with the base hit, Rosario with the home run. They made it 6-2. He struck out Caballero to end the inning. That was the fourth inning. And then you started getting into the third time through the order. Fifth inning, Judge with the second home run off Crochet this year. That's his 48th home run of the year. Holy cow, Aaron Judge. And I'm thinking at the beginning of the month, Cal Raleigh's going to be your guy. Maybe taking home the MVP. But Aaron Judge, this guy, he's been stepping up here. I think you got to go with Aaron Judge for MVP at this point if he keeps doing what he's doing. I know we're a Red Sox post-game show, but I got to give credit where it's due. Judge is having a monster year. has a 1143 slugging over his last 7 games with 5 home runs. That sounds like an MVP finish, if you ask me. But Crochet, he didn't let that home run get to him. That made it 6-3 at the time. 6th inning, he struck out Stanton, Rosario, got the ground out to Goldie. What a night here for Garrett Crochet. 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, 12 strikeouts. Sure, gave up the 2 home runs, but this guy had a ton of swing and miss tonight. 44% on the whiff percentage. I mean, he was getting swing and misses with all of his pitches. His fastball looked fantastic here tonight, averaging right around 98 miles an hour on the fastball here tonight. Holy cow. I mean, we just saw that velo pumping. I mean, obviously we know he's got the velo, but it just felt like it was just hard all night. Man, oh man. Good velo. Gotta love that from Crochet. But then the bullpen. Here. Steven Matz coming in. Steven Matz. Home run to Caballero there in the 7th inning, and you start to feel a little uncomfortable. At this point, you're thinking, oh, man, bats have gone cold since the 1st inning. The Yankees, are they gaining a little bit of momentum? But then they had Garrett Whitlock staring him in the face in the 8th inning. This guy's nails. Whitlock is insane. Judge had the base hit, but then he went on to strike out the next 3 batters. He struck out Bellinger on a slider, Stanton on a sinker. Both at the slider was down at the knees with Bellinger. Stanton, he got him at the knees as well. And then Grisham, he got him swinging and missing on a sinker up. Whitlock's stuff is insane, and I know I've brought this up before, and I'm going to bring it up again. You know, that 2021 Garrett Whitlock, just what a pleasure it was to watch him that year. And I know I've said this before, I was not a fan of him being a starter. I'm like, all right, let's see how it goes. But, I mean, don't fix what's not broke. He was so good, and I'm glad he's back to where he is. This is where he needs to be. He's dominant in this spot. What a great year for Garrett Whitlock. I think Chapman coming in, just nailing it down. No issues for Chapman. But again, you had a couple of worries there with Chapman over the last couple of games, right? Giving up the walk-off hit to the A's. Not looking good earlier on in this series. You know, a couple of bumpy outings for Chapman. But he looked good here tonight. The velo looked good. I was starting to worry a little bit. I'm thinking, all right, is he maybe getting a little fatigued going down the stretch? And I think we're good. 30th save on the year for Chapman. Let's take a look at the updated numbers. You know, he was getting into historic territory when it came to the ERA for a single season. When it came to relievers for the Red Sox, Papelbon had the all-time ERA at a 0.92 back in 2006. Chapman, he was getting close, but then the last couple of games happened. But then tonight, looking good. ERA at a 1.26 as we speak. 82 Ks over the 57 and third innings. Will it go down as the all-time ERA for a single season? No, but it's definitely going to be one of the best ones of all time for a reliever. So, that was your ball game here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Just exactly how you wanted to end it this weekend. You needed this one, in my opinion. I know I've said that a few times, but I'm going to keep putting the emphasis on that. I just felt like you needed to win this one. You had to end your weekend on a good note, especially going into an off day. I would have not liked to go into the off day tomorrow getting swept, But you made a statement here tonight. This was a good one. I'm glad they walked away with a W after the Patriots W here today. Good day. Good day. Seeing a lot of people here in the chat. Thank you for joining me here tonight. A lot of familiar faces. We got Brian. We got Jules. We got Mario. We got Jackson. We got Sherry. We got Mason. We got Moose. Moose is in the chat. What's going on, Moose? How you doing? How we doing, everybody? Thank you for joining me. We do have a couple of sponsors here tonight. We're going to check out the standings. We're going to get into the A's are coming to town, so thank goodness it's not another West Coast trip. I saw the A's on the schedule, and I'm like, wait, we're not going back there, are we? No. I got scared, ladies and gentlemen, because I can't do these late nights anymore. These 1 a.m. shows, man, listen, I like sleep, all right? I'm glad they're coming to Boston. That's going to be nice. But yes, George, the Rangers taking the L. We'll get into that. We'll go look at everything. This is where we're all scoreboard watching here. We're checking the standings every single night at this point, or when we wake up in the morning. We'll go check those out. But let's get to it here. One word from our sponsor. I'll be right back.
We spend a lot of time on the road. We are often concerned about our online security when you're logging in from all over the globe, really. So you should maybe look into a VPN. What does that stand for, Kratz?
Virtual private network.
Boom, nailed it. And that virtual private network that you should look into is called Surfshark. It is time to take control of your online security and try Surfshark today. You can enjoy their 30-day money-back guarantee and secure your digital world right now by visiting the link that we'll post there for you and start surfing securely. Surfshark.com/foul or the code FOUL at checkout will get you 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN, aka Virtual Private Network. It's a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Surfshark's unique VPN benefits include use on unlimited devices in 100 countries and 24/7 support at surfshark.com/FOUL. This has been your tech update. Keep your data safe.
Alrighty, it is standings time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look-see. Let's see what we got. Well, the Yankees gain a game on the Yankees here tonight. I mean, listen, the Yankees, they were looking good there. Putting some wins together while the Red Sox were losing, right? It wasn't just the first two in this series, right? The Yankees won the night the Red Sox dropped the finale to the A's. So the Yankees, they gained 3 games on the Red Sox right there. But the Red Sox, they claw their way back a little bit for the first wild card. They're now a game and a half behind for that first spot. And listen, if we are indeed going to go up against the Yankees in the wild card, I mean, listen, yes, you've had the home field advantage. Hold on, I was about to mess up what I was about to say. Even though the Yankees, if they're in that 4th spot, they're going to have the home field advantage, even though you've been wrecking the Yankees all year, right? So, sure, we can beat up on them all we want, winning the series, the season series here 9-4. But at the end of the day, the seeding is what matters here. So for the Red Sox, got to start picking up some wins here. But look at what's going on here. We have a bit of an update. The Astros are now in that 3rd wild card spot. The Mariners, they're red hot right now. They won again here today. Their 9th straight win. The Mariners are now leading the division with a record of 82-68. The Astros, they've been a little cold as of late. So they now drop into the 3rd wild card spot. And the Rangers, listen, I've talked about this. The Rangers just can't seem to get out of their own way. They get red hot, but it just so happens when the Mariners were red hot. And any time, they drop a game, it's at the worst possible time. It's like the Rangers, they just can't seem to get a break here. They're now 2 games back behind the Astros for the 3rd wild card. Look at the Guardians as well. They're red hot too. The Guardians, 2.5 back. They've just won their 4th straight game today. Still 2.5 back. So this is going to be a dogfight for this 3rd wild card spot. But then again, the Red Sox, they're not, they're a game up on the 3rd spot here. So honestly, this is going to be a dogfight for I think for all 3 spots here at this point. I mean, who knows how this is going to finish? I think we're going to go down to that last series of the year. And I don't know. I don't even know what to think at this point. This is the first time we're seeing the Astros in this spot, right? So who knows how this ends up finishing. But let's take a look here at the upcoming series. Again, you do have the day off. Here, but let's take a look at how things are lining up for this next series with the A's. I'm telling you, I'm so close to saying Oakland every time. Every time I'm about to say it, and I have to catch myself. But it's like weird because I would like to say Sacramento, but they're not going to be there after a couple of years. So it's like, do I just get ahead of the game now and just say Vegas? Or do we just say the A's? Like, I don't know. I want to say Oakland, though. I'm so close to saying it every single time. But enough of me rambling. Let's get to the matchups here. Connolly early getting another taste of the A's. And here's the thing with the A's, right? Sure, you won 2 out of 3, but this is an A's team led by Mark Kotsay that this team, they want to go out there and win ball games, man. They understand their spot. They know where they're at, right? But Nick Kurtz, I mean, holy cow. This guy is just tearing the cover off the ball this year. Yeah, I mean, good. He had another amazing game this past weekend. But let's see if they make some adjustments to Connolly early. We're going to get another start number 2 from early. He looked tremendous, right? We went live at, 1 a.m. that night? Actually, one of the better shows from this past week. A lot of people tuned in for that show and for the replays as well. We were all about Connolly early. He looked fantastic in his debut, tying the strikeout record for a rookie in his first start with the Red Sox. He gets the first start against Jeffrey Springs. The Red Sox, they went to town against Jeffrey Springs in that last start. Giolito, he's going to get a start here against the A's in Game 2 against Mason Barnett. And then Brian Bayo going up against JT Ginn. Lucas Giolito wasn't amazing in his last start. Same thing with Bayo here. The Yankees, again, this is a team, they just look good to go. They look ready to go for those first couple of games with Giolito in that last start here, taking the loss to give up 2 runs on the 5 hits. He got into the 6th inning, wasn't able to fully finish it off. He wasn't bad in the start by any means, but because the Red Sox weren't able to get through. And then Brian Bayo taking the loss there, gave up 4 runs in the 5 hits over the 5 innings. Not the sharpest we've seen Bayo. So let's see if Bayo, we see a bit of a bounce back performance. Let's see if he can get a little bit more out of Lucas Giolito. And I'm very intrigued with early here in start number 2. Obviously, the guy was on a whole bunch of adrenaline in that first start, right? Making your major league debut, 11 strikeouts over the 5 shutout innings. But, he was giving up a few hits. So the A's, they were seeing him okay. Just, yes, they struck out 11 times, but they were making some pretty good contact against him throughout the night. We'll see how Connolly early makes his adjustments to them. They're going to try and adjust back to him. Let's see what he can do in start number 2. Well, we got the day off tomorrow. That'll be nice to kind of decompress a little bit after a Yankee series. The Yankee series, they're always high energy, right? You feel like you're just tired after a Yankee series. So that'll be a nice day off for tomorrow. And again, good win going in to the off day. So that is it for the standings check. That is it for the A's preview. I'm going to do a bit of a Q&A. I did leave in the chat. I did put here, leave me a question for the end of the show. So if you got a question, let me know down below in the chat. I also posted it on Twitter. I'm going to go check on there as well. So if you want to see maybe yourself get into the show here tonight, go to Twitter, go to my profile, and go check out the thread that I posted. And we'll see what you got to say. But everyone, before I do get to that, we do have another word from our sponsor tonight. I'll be right back.
Time for your weekly Arena Club segment where we see what AJ pulls from a slab pack. And here we go. Pulling a little emerald pack this week, AJ. Looking for something big.
Always. I'm always looking for the big thing. Next big thing, Scott.
Big money, baby.
Yep. No whammies.
We've got a Dave Winfield card from 1974, a 74 Topps card from this emerald pack. Estimated value $300.
Mm-hmm.
You could sell it back for $270.
Sold.
I feel like you're into more of the current players. Would that be accurate?
No,
you like Legends?
In my showroom, I have a Robin Yount. I have a Griffey rookie card,
Oh,
I think.
That's true.
So, I have some older vintager players. Bob Gibson.
Oh, yeah, you have Gibson.
So, I disagree, Scott. But Dave Winfield, for that amount of money back, I'm reselling it.
And if you want to get your own pack or new card, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/FAB.
All righty. Let's get to it here, shall we? So let's see what you guys are saying here. Let's take a look-see. So we do have one here from Rocco over on Twitter. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. What do we got going on? Okay. So from Rocco, man, Romy is so good. He plays great defense. He can hit both lefty and righties. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the game. You know, for the main channel here soon, I'm going to be doing most underrated player for each team. I know we're talking Sox here, right? We're talking Red Sox every single night pretty much, but I mean, hey, I got the main channel. I'm talking all things baseball over there. I'm honestly wondering, you know, who could I go with when it comes to the most underrated player for the Red Sox? I mean, or Well, yes, for the Red Sox, but when it comes to all of Major League Baseball, who would, from the Red Sox, fit into that category of most underrated players from each team? I mean, I absolutely think you can look at Romy. I don't see why you couldn't. The guy's been amazing. I mean, I think you could go with Carlos Narvaez. I feel like you're starting to hear about him more. The bat was a lot better in the first half. He has come down a little bit in the second half. I mean, could you say that Seti is underrated? I mean, the guy's had multiple clutch moments this year, both offensively and defensively. He's been amazing out there. So could you maybe go with one of these guys? Romy, even Ref Snyder. I mean, I think even Ref Snyder could be in that conversation. I mean, you got a couple of guys in the bullpen. Honestly, could Garrett Whitlock be in that conversation? You don't hear about Garrett Whitlock all that much. Obviously, you hear about Chapman. Whitlock could be the guy who's just been absolute nails. So I think either of those guys could be in the conversation. But everybody, on NESN, I do have to wrap it up right there. We are out of time on NESN. We are going to go a little further on YouTube here. So if you would like to see the rest of the show, come on over to YouTube, Monster Territory, and come see what I got to say. I'm going to wrap up the Q&A. But everybody on NESN, thank you for watching here tonight. Enjoy your Monday, and we'll see you next time. So let's get to the rest of the Q&A. So yes, I think either one of those guys could be in that conversation for most underrated. If you were to, I don't know, if I were to pick, if I were to pick right now, I definitely think Romy could be in that conversation. I mean, he's been just so good this year. Hitting, coming into tonight, hitting 309 with a 342 on base, 502 on the slugging. Ref Snyder, I think, is right there. I think you have to give the nod to Romy a little bit. And then on the pitching side of things, again, I really do think Garrett Whitlock, I think you can consider him underrated. I mean, the guy's been one of the best relievers in the game, but he's not a closer. So you just don't hear about him really all that much, right? The closers, they get the attention. But Whitlock, he's easily one of the best setup guys out there. He's been amazing. Coming into tonight, Whitlock had a 2.43 ERA, FIP at a 2.44. A 1.9 F-WAR coming into the year. Compare that to Chapman, who's at a 2.5. And Chapman's the closer. So Whitlock has been that good. So let's see. What do we got going on here? Let me get to... So we had a couple in the chat. Let me pull those up here. And am I able... Let me see. I don't know if I'm able to pull it up here in the software. Because I'd like to drag it into the screen if I could. I can't find them. All right. Well, we'll just take a look here. From God's Gift, Mike. Should we throw the farm to try and get Skeens this winter? I mean, you could try. You're probably not going to do it, though. I think Joe Ryan is more realistic. I mean, Skeens, holy cow. I mean, even the best farm systems out there are going to have a tough time getting him. I don't think the Pirates are going to move him. I think Joe Ryan would be the guy. I'm very interested to see how the Red Sox go about adding a number 2. Because, listen, we need another guy in that rotation. Obviously, we have what we have right now, but I wonder which way they go. Because with Joe Ryan, there's going to be other teams that get in the mix. For Crochet, it just ended up being perfect, right? Because you had someone like Kyle Teal. And yes, you got a couple other guys here that have risen up to the top of the farm. Someone like Franklin Arias, could he be expendable? I don't know. I'm not sure. Who do the Red Sox view as guys that they would like to keep, and who would they be willing to move on from? So I just wonder, with other farm systems that have gotten a lot better here over the last couple of years, I think it's going to be very competitive for Joe Ryan, where the advantage you had getting Crochet for the White Sox is the Red Sox farm system at that time were ahead. They were the number 1 farm system coming into the year, according to Baseball America. Other teams have caught up, though. So I'm interested to see how that turns out. I think the Red Sox could absolutely land Joe Ryan. We'll have to see, though. If they don't land Joe Ryan, I wonder, do you see John Henry being okay going after someone like Dylan Cease? And here's the thing. I don't see why not, because the Red Sox went after Max Fried. So they clearly had the go-ahead to go get Max Fried. Unfortunately, he went to the Yankees. I think someone like Cease could be possible for the Red Sox. I do think they're going to add someone. However, Skeens, not so much. Pat H., how often do you go to the games? Well, being down here in Florida, I lived in Massachusetts until I was a teenager, right? I went to Fenway Park a few times as a kid, and pretty much every year, now it's not Tropicana Field. I was going to Tropicana a couple of times a year, pretty much. But with the channel kind of working on stuff, you'd think it's pretty easy to go there, but, to go see multiple games. But, with the channel, it's busy. Especially doing the post games now. I mean, when I went to Steinbrenner Field back in, April? Was it April? I think it was April. In April. When I went to Steinbrenner Field, I didn't do the post game show that night because I just got back too late, I mean, there was traffic and everything. So, yeah, it's kind of hard, But yes, every year I definitely try to catch at least a couple of games. So, I'm hoping to be going back to Steinbrenner Field I believe it's this coming weekend against the Rays. We'll see. Still waiting on to see if I get approved for the credentials. We got approved for the last time. Still haven't heard back. If I get approved for the credentials, then I'll be there at some point next weekend. But I got to hear back from them first. I got to get approved for it first. So we'll see. But yeah, I definitely try to go to a couple of games every single year. Let's see. Let's see here. Hold on. All right. So that was it for the Q&A here on Twitter. But what do we got going on here? Juan. Robbie, who do you think is the best option for Boston? Kyle Schwarber, Pete Alonso, or both? I think... it's so interesting, right? Because I just don't know what the plan is with Casas. I think it's easy to say, like, oh, Casas, he's going to come back. He'll be the guy. I don't know what the Red Sox think about that. Would the Red Sox rather have a guy that they just know that they're going to be able to put in the lineup every day? With Casas, he's such a big question mark. Is it enough of a question mark to go after a guy, and then when Casas comes back, you just figure it out? You figure out how to work him in. With Schwarber, I think with Schwarber, he feels more like a possibility, in my opinion. Right? I do think they're going to cut ties with Massa this coming off season. I think that's going to happen. I don't see a scenario where Massa's in with the Red Sox in 2026. I just have a hard time seeing it. The bat just hasn't been great since coming back this year. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing it. Schwarber, though, I think there is that possibility. And I've talked about this. I think the Red Sox need another bat in the middle of the order. I think they need another presence there. I mean, yes, you got some good talent, right, with Bregman and Duran. I do think Bregman's going to end up sticking around. I just think that's, to me, it's a no-brainer. I think they'll figure it out. But I think you need another guy in the middle. I think you need a guy, when he comes up, pitchers are weary of this guy, right? Schwarber is that presence. You bring him into this lineup, and he takes so much pressure off the guys around him. I think that's the kind of a guy you go after. So if I were to come down to Alonso, Schwarber, I feel like Schwarber would be more realistic. Just because, yes, Casas is a question mark, but he's still so young, and I think the Red Sox, if he's unable to really bounce back next year, I don't know. That's where I feel like they would rather wait and see. But if you go get Schwarber, you could still go get a bat, and also play wait and see as well. And you are going to have Nate Lowe, right? So you're still going to have him. So you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of, I think Schwarber is more realistic. So, Mario, who do you think goes after Framber? I think the three teams to me, I would say I think the Blue Jays, I think the Orioles, I think those two teams are going to be going after starting pitching this coming offseason. I don't know. Every offseason, I want the Angels to do something. They got Kikuchi last offseason. Is Artie Moreno warming up a little bit to maybe going after some of those kind of guys? He's been weary of adding pitching for a while. But the Angels, they got this young talent there. And I wonder if they go after a guy. Could Framber be a guy? And there's been reports that teams are a little... they did not like what happened with Framber crossing up Cesar Salazar, the catcher. So I wonder how that could affect his market. Could that be an opportunity for the Angels to jump in? I think for the Angels at this point, okay, you hit your catcher with a ball, fine. All right, well, we stink. We need you, right? You know what I mean? Like, kind of, I think they could be a good fit. Will they do it, though? I don't know. I thought the Giants would have been good, but because of that cross-up situation, I don't know. I'm just connecting dots. Buster Posey, one of the best catchers of all time. I would imagine he probably didn't like that. That's just a guess, I would think. So I think the Giants probably not for Framber. I think the Orioles and the Blue Jays make a lot of sense for him. Maybe the Angels too. But you're right, Mario. He eats up innings. He's not injury prone. That's a good thing about Framber. Yes, he had that whole situation, but he's been one of the most solid starting pitchers in the game for a while. We'll see. Yeah, Gabriel, Orlando to Tampa, horrible drive. Yeah, it is. It's not as bad as it is going to St. Petersburg. Tampa's like a smidge closer. That's what makes, I can't, hopefully, well, I hope the Rays move to Orlando. I don't think that's going to happen. It looked hopeful at one point, but then you had this new group emerge and looking like they would like to, Major League Baseball would also like to keep them in Tampa. If that ends up being the case, I'm fine with that, because going to St. Petersburg, that extra 20, 30 minutes or whatever it is with traffic, it's a nightmare. Tampa, I'm cool with. But you are right, though. The traffic can get pretty annoying there. Andrew, 12 games left, should be a good finish. Yeah, I agree. This is going to be a fun finish no matter how this ends up shaking out, because you got a lot of teams in the mix here. The 3 spots of the wild card, it's completely up in the air right now. The Yankees only up a game and a half for the first spot. We'll see. Anthony, I'm telling you right now, if the Sox went after Josh Naylor and got him, he would be a fan favorite in no time. He did feel like a guy where I feel like Boston fans would have really liked him. Luckily, Nate Lowe ended up being pretty solid, too. Liam, Red Sox versus Brewers in the World Series. I mean, listen, anything could happen in the postseason. If the Red Sox bats can get going and somehow, some way, Roman ends up being all right and he can come back, even then, here's another thing with Roman too, right? Even if he comes back, it's going to take him a little time, to kind of get his groove back a little bit. So even if he does come back, is it really going to be that much of a help? Or is he just going to come back cold? Obviously we know how great he is, but is he going to have to work off some rust too? So I don't know, man. We'll see. But the bats, Roman or not, you got to get these bats more consistent. So I'm very interested with the Brewers, though. I would love to go with the Brewers making a run to the World Series, but every single year, they just seem to find a way to get themselves knocked out, early on. They're a fun team to pick every year, but are they good enough to get over the hump? This year does feel a little bit different with them, because that lineup top to bottom, they got solid bats. They're making a ton of contact. They're not striking out a whole lot. They're getting on base a lot. They run the bases well. They're good defensively. They got some solid pitching, both in the rotation and in the bullpen. If there's ever a year for the Brewers, this one does feel like it, right? Because you got a good arm in Freddie Peralta. You've got some good depth, behind him, right? Misarowski, I think he could be a weapon in the postseason. I think the Brewers, they got the guys to get that done, right? Like Pat Murphy there. I would like to go with the Brewers. I don't know, though. Not Not sure. Still thinking about it in my head. We need to see who makes the postseason at this point. I don't know. But everybody, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up right there. I think we are going to call it quits here tonight here on Monster Territory. Good win for tonight. You love to see the Red Sox just bouncing back after a few tough games. Getting the win here tonight. Good win going into tomorrow on the day off. Good win for the Patriots today. Everyone, if you can, hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you're new. And we'll see you next time.